Hey, what's up everyone? And well, for those of you who have seen my most recent post, and for those of you who haven't, just in case, surprise, surprise, yes, I bought the Nintendo Switch 2. That's right, the biggest, highest selling gaming console that everybody's trying to get their hands on right now since it just recently released. And I managed to get my hands on one just barely, luckily, in a pre-order. Yeah, don't worry, I didn't have to wait in front of a store overnight or any of that crap. Yep, I got the Nintendo Switch 2 with the Mario Kart World bundle, which obviously, like the front says right here, is a digital download. So, of course, I don't have any physical games for this yet, but let me break the console down and what I think of it first. What it includes is, well, obviously the console itself, the two Joy-Cons, and, well, the Joy-Cons, as you know, unlike the first Nintendo Switch console, they don't slide on and off. They're actually magnetic, so you just attach them like that, and then if you want to detach them, you just push this button that's underneath the top trigger button on the back here, and there you go. Pretty simple and self-explanatory. And just like the Nintendo Switch 1, which is I guess what we're going to have to call it now since this is called the Switch 2, it also includes one of these, which just like that console, you attach the Joy-Cons to, and well, it attaches, magnetically. So yeah, again, pretty self-explanatory enough. And that's if you're playing it on your TV, and well, like I said, this is just like the Nintendo Switch 1, you can play it at home and on the go, and just like the Nintendo Switch 1, it also includes a docking port that you plug into your TV. It includes all the essentials. The HDMI cable, as well as an AC cable to charge it and power it up. Well, this time it's actually not like the first one where it's just one cable. It's actually more or less just a USB-C cable, both-sided, and plugs into this box thing. And in case you're wondering, yes, there is plenty of backwards compatibility with this, but before I get too carried away, it also includes these, because like I said, the design to the Joy-Cons are a little bit different, and this is for, well, if you want to play them and use the wrist straps. Pretty similar to the ones that came with the first Nintendo Switch, which is most of the time good for, like, if you're playing motion control games, which this console is going to have, I'm sure, in the near future. Yes, I know there's not a lot of, like, original exclusive games aside from Mario Kart. I'll get into that in a little bit, but there's one really cool new feature that this console has, and that is if you detach the Joy-Cons and you attach them to these, this is required, and you put it down on a flat surface like a table or something, then you can actually use it like a mouse, as if you're playing it on a computer. But the only thing is, it doesn't work for every single game. I tried it, because of course, like I said, there's plenty of backwards compatibility with this console, and I had Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 from my Nintendo Switch 1, the complete edition to be exact, and I was looking forward to being able to use that feature, but unfortunately, it doesn't work with that game. I'm hoping there's going to be some future updates with this to make that possible, but who knows if that'll even happen, because it's a third-party game. There's a really cool basketball-looking game called Drag X Drive. No official release date announced. Same thing with Metroid Prime 4. I mean, it's no-brainer that's going to come out for this console, and I'm sure it's going to come out for the Switch 1. I don't think they're ready to jump ship and completely ditch the first one, but it's obviously going to take advantage of the new graphics, and getting back to the basketball game with robots and what looks like some kind of wheelchair or motorbike or something, it's obviously going to make use of the motion controls. I'm only hoping for maybe another Switch sports game, possibly with more games and maybe more online. New Mario Adventure game, that's going to be in the works, as well as maybe possibly a new Zelda game. And well, the one I'm definitely looking forward to that has an official release date for July of this year is Donkey Kong Bonanza, a 3D Donkey Kong adventure game, which, well, I guess you could say is definitely putting a pounding on my chest after watching the trailer. I mean, what could be better, right? I wasn't a huge fan of Donkey Kong 64, but I think with this gameplay style and with these graphics and the Nintendo console that has definitely come a long ways and improved itself over time, it's definitely going to work. Trust me. If they can get Kirby in 3D right with Kirby in the Forgotten Land, I think they can do this just as well. And speaking of which, yeah, they're re-releasing that game, as well as the 2 Zelda adventure games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and a few others in Switch 2 ports, which, if you have those games already, here's one thing that has to be established. Yes, this thing is backwards compatible with Switch 1 games, which I have those games already. So it's like, what's the point? You can also transfer your digital games from your Switch 1 library to the Switch 2 as well. And you do so with the so-called virtual card. Yeah, not an actual card physically, it's just an app which allows digital gaming transfer in which you have to have your Switch 1 turned on, within close proximity of your Switch 2 also turned on, and the on-screen instructions are very helpful with allowing you to do this. And there you go. That's pretty cool, I'll say. And just like the Switch 1, there is also a stand on this thing, and it's actually better. It's not this little thing like the first one had, it's a big one. And I might as well get this out of the way. Yes, it has a micro SD card holder, but it doesn't work with just any micro SD card. No, it's only compatible with a micro SD Express. I'm assuming it's because of its compatibility and its more advanced hardware compatibilities. So, yeah, they're a little pricey, and if you're going to get one, obviously go for quality over quantity. You know, don't cheap out with these. There's plenty of room on here to save plenty of games, but eventually you're going to run out. And yes, you can also transfer your library of Switch Online games, you know, the classic ones from NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis, N64, Game Boy, Advanced Color, Black and White, and presenting, for the first time, Gamecube games. Well, only 3 of them right now as I'm making this video. Not a bad selection. I mean, you got Soul Calibur 2, which is actually a really cool fighting game. I can't believe I missed out on this one for so many years. I gotta get into this franchise. It's pretty awesome. F-Zero GX, pretty cool. And finally, for the first time on a Nintendo Switch console, even though it's Switch 2, Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. I loved this game. I know not everybody loved its cel-shaded style of animation and everything like that, and yeah, the sailing the water part is pretty tedious, trying to find your way around and everything, but come on. It was gorgeous, it was colorful, and it was fun, and I'm glad to see it back on any Switch console. And, well, there is more to come. Obviously, we're getting Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Sunshine, which I don't understand since we already got that on Super Mario 3D All-Stars. But then again, Mario 64 is also on the N64 library. I'm hoping for Smash Bros. Melee, Mario Superstar Baseball, Legend of Zelda: The Four Swords Adventure, and Twilight Princess, and maybe Metroid Prime 2, since we still haven't gotten that one remastered. That would be great. So yeah, 3 games isn't a lot. But then again, that's how the N64 library first started, and there's a lot more now. I also forgot to mention that there's not 1, but 2 inputs for the charger plug on the console if you're playing it on the go. And this is actually a good thing because unlike the first Switch console, which only had 1 on the bottom, this new one does have 1 on the bottom, but also has 1 on top as well. So if you're playing this on the go with the Joy-Cons detached and with the thing standing up, well, I can't say much more there. You can play it while it's plugged in. And yes, most of the wireless controllers, from what I've heard, I have a third-party controller for the Switch 1, and it works as long as you sync it correctly using a USB-C plug. And there you go. Gotta love backwards compatibility, right? But now, let's go! It's a Mario Kart World. Yes, I don't have this game physically because it was digitally included with this bundle. And what are my thoughts on it? Is it a great game? You bet your ass it is. All I could say, to keep it short, sweet, to the point, is you get plenty of great characters, including Mario, Luigi, Peach, and plenty to unlock, which obviously is part of the game when you're playing one-player mode. From characters to different vehicles, like not only carts, but also bikes. But those, on the other hand, you get from collecting coins, another returning feature from previous Mario Kart games. You get multiplayer, in which you can play 2 to 3 and even up to 4 players locally, as well as online multiplayer. Not much to say. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you get the basic Grand Prix mode, but I think they allow one too many players to compete in the race. I mean, 24 players at the same time. It gets a little chaotic and overwhelming, to say the least. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but I think this many players, it's a little bit of an overkill. You also do get the balloon battle, just like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and all the other Mario Kart games. It thankfully is on a boxed-in area, not like Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, which they obviously did that wrong, putting it on a racetrack. Now, they did it right, thankfully, and whether you're playing it solo or with other people locally or online, it's still a lot of fun. You get most of the same item boxes that you remember from the previous Mario games, whether you get one or you can even hold up to two of them, and most of the same ones are back, like the banana peels, the Koopa shells, like the green ones, and obviously the red ones, which are better, and yes, even that annoying as hell blue one that only hits the player that's in the lead. God, it still drives me nuts though, but hey, that's all part of the fun, right? You get the ones that give you a speed boost, like the mushrooms, the gold mushroom, which can give you even more, and the bullet bill, which zips you by even faster. You also get the fire flower, the boomerang, the horn, yeah, that thing to try to knock out anybody within close proximity, as well as the bombs. Yep, throw them, and kaboom! And you get the power star, which, well, like the previous games, gives you complete invincibility, allowing you to go through any hazards or any other racers, and speeds you up a little bit too as well. You also get coins because, like I said before, that feature makes a return and plays a pretty big part with unlocking things, as well as the Boo Ghost, which allows you to steal an item from another racer. And yes, you also do get the return of this annoying shrink lightning thing, which as soon as you get struck by it, it shrinks you and you lose your items. Yeah, I know it's annoying, but hey, it's just part of the game. Some of these do allow you to carry 3 of them, which is nothing new. And I know I probably left out a few of them, but whatever. You get the point. Lots of returning items, as well as several new ones. As I said, the coins make a return, so why not give you a coin box in which every time you hit it, coins will come out. You also get these hammers that you can throw like a hammer brother, as well as ice flowers. Works almost like the fire flowers, except they freeze racers that you throw them at for a brief couple of seconds. You also get the mega mushroom, which, like the name suggests, helps you grow large for a little bit. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's also a gold Koopa shell, which acts like the green one, except it drops coins after you throw it, as well as a feather, which jumps you up really high. There's also the Kamek item, which is, named after the wizard character from Super Mario World and other entries in the franchise. And basically it transforms another racer, or even your character, into another. Okay. There's also this paper bag that gives you a random food item. You eat it, and it sometimes transforms your character into one that's wearing an alternate outfit. I didn't know about this at first, but depending on which character you selected, if you haven't unlocked the alternate version of that character with the different outfit, well, that's exactly what this does. It transforms that character with that outfit, and therefore unlocks that version of that character. And there can be more than one version of that same character. There are a bunch of other unlockable characters, mostly these little side villain characters that you probably remember from past entries in the Mario franchise, which I have to question, how do they drive a cart without arms? I mean, look at these characters. They don't have arms. Just a minor nitpick. You do unlock some of the main familiar characters as you complete each Grand Prix mode. And as I mentioned with the coins, you unlock different vehicles. Not vehicle parts like the main base, the wheels, and the gliders like in the previous entries. No, just the cart or bikes themselves. You can attach stickers that you get for completing different objectives. And though you do get the gliding when you jump off something really high up or when you go flying. Whee! Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And well, you don't go underwater, but instead, your car or bike turns into a boat or a jet ski, whatever you'd like to call it. That's pretty cool, and if there's some waves, you can jump off of them and speed up. Yeah, that feature's back, when you go off at different jumps or anything that flings your car or bike into the air, and you can help speed you up. As well as when you come across turns, you swerve, and the more and more you do so, you see that color red on the bottom of your vehicle. That'll also help speed you up. The newest key feature, of course, that's really cool and sticks out is being able to drive on anything that's really skinny and narrow, like a power line or a railing or train track rail or anything. You could stay on there or jump off at any time, and as you'd expect, it helps speed you up. The presentation of this game is really where it gets an A. I mean, it looks fantastic. I mean, look at these background features. Look at all the stuff that comes onto the track. Look at all the hazards. Look at all the different things you can interact with. Hell, even the free roam mode. You can go around all the different areas across the map, whether it's desert, lava, the beach, the ice and snow world, the city. I mean, you can go anywhere in the free roam and just drive around and see and get the feel of what each section of each map looks like. And, of course, you can even do side missions. Pretty cool, I'll say. And another cool little feature that I took note of is that in between races on Grand Prix mode and when you're racing online, you don't just start out the race by just sitting there. No, your vehicle actually moves. Yeah, you still have the countdown thing, and yes, I do know the trick with getting the jump start. But that's a cool little detail there. And speaking of online, you also get free roam on there too as well. Yeah, it's a bit unnecessary, but like free roam, it's definitely a good time killer right there instead of just sitting there waiting for the race to start, am I right? And yeah, same thing goes with the balloon battle mode when you're playing that online. But the newest feature that most of you probably noticed with this game is knockout mode. And yes, you can play it not only single player and multiplayer locally, but you can also play it online. And it's just as the name sounds, it's basically an elimination game in which you go through more than just 3 or 4 laps. You go through a whole bunch. The race is actually much longer than a typical Grand Prix or regular race. And basically, when you reach the end of a lap, you have to be in a certain position in that race out of everybody, otherwise you will be eliminated. So, in other words, you have to race and fight hard all the way to the end. Otherwise, you're out. So, calling it Knockout, perfectly appropriate name right there. Definitely a neat feature to add to this franchise, making it a very worthy addition to it. And all the reason to own a Nintendo Switch 2, even though at the time it's probably the only great game. But all I could say about this one is, it sounds great, it looks great, it plays great, and it's not just Mario Kart, it's Mario Kart World. So, my final verdict is, a rockin' Wii Remote Wii Motion Plus up, and a playing Wii Remote up. Great job, Nintendo. You've done great once again. So, that about wraps it up for the Nintendo Switch 2. Well, and all I could say is, yeah, I know the price is a little high, and like I said, there's not many great games out for it yet, but believe me, it's going to have a bright future. I don't, on the other hand, have the webcam for this that you can use for, I guess, talking and playing online, but all I could say is, I think Nintendo has outdone themselves yet again. Till next time, happy gaming.